John Lusk here of Lusk Archery Adventures, series testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing another Swhacker, and this time I'm going to be testing the Swhacker 3-blade model that's called the 225. They use numbers for all their different models. This is the first 3-blade head by Swhacker that I've tested. I've tested quite a few others, and you can check all those out here on my channel. Thank you for the viewer who donated me a pack of these heads so that I can test them out. And as always, I'm going to be using my Bowtech SR6, set at 72 pounds, 27-inch draw, and I'm going to be using Bishop FOC King arrows, and this is the 100-grain model. So let's zoom on in here, get a closer look at this broadhead, go over some of the design features, and then we're going to put it to the test and see how the Swhacker 225 performs. Here you get a good look at the Swhacker 225. This is a 100-grain head, and you see it's got the classic Swhacker chisel tip, a really narrow chisel tip, which is going to aid in penetration. And this functions just like all the other Swhacker mechanicals, that as the head penetrates, then the pressure is going to be placed on these 3 blades, and that's going to create an initial cut. I believe it's 0.875 inches of cutting diameter in the closed position, and that's going to force these blades to kind of overcome that O-ring that holds them in place, and they're going to fold back like that into their full cutting diameter of 1.5 inches. So the total cut is 2.25 inches. That's a nice healthy cut. Now the ferrule here is aluminum. It's a 2024 T4 aluminum. Okay, so not the best aluminum, but I haven't had any break in any of my testing so far. The blades are 0.032 inches thick, and they're set in an offset pattern. So that's going to create a nice wound channel that's going to be more difficult to close up. And each blade is held in place by this steel set screw. So you can replace individual blades. You don't have to replace them all at the same time, and that's really nice. And so as I've shared with many of the Swhacker videos before, you can check them out. This blade causes that initial cut, and then after it penetrates the animal, shortly thereafter, this blade rolls back, and this is what they call the virgin blade. This hasn't been dulled at all on the hide or that initial inch or two of tissue, and so you're getting a fresh cut through the rest of the animal. Now, one thing I do want to note is, though the blades are held in place securely with that O-ring, there is like play. Like, can you see that? There's a wobble to the blades. That's not really my favorite. It just feels flimsy, but we'll see how it performs. I'm going to be testing it for edge sharpness and edge retention, for penetration, and for durability. Let's see how this 3-blade 225 Swhacker performs. Out of the box sharpness. 1 stroke of the arrow. 2 strokes of the arrow. 3 strokes of the arrow. 4 strokes of the arrow. Barely, but it cut. 5 strokes of the arrow. Okay, the Swhacker 3-blade, the 225 cut paper after 4 strokes of the arrow. The Swhacker 3-blade penetrated 7 1/4 inches. Here's the entrance hole of the Swhacker 3-blade, and you can see that those are the blades that are exposed in the closed position. That's what you get on the entrance, which is about 3/4 of an inch cutting diameter in 3 blades. Here's the Swhacker after going through the MDF 5 times. And as you can see, it held up really well. This is the most durable Swhacker that I've tested so far of the mechanicals, this 3-blade, for whatever reason. Maybe how much the blades are swept, I'm not sure. But they all held in place. The edges are great. They bent a little bit back, but actually performed very well. So what'd you think of the Swhacker 225? I got to tell you, so far it's performed better than any of the other mechanical Swhackers that I've tested. It held up quite well through the MDF, and performed pretty well in many of the tests. Now, I will note in the penetration, that's a little deceptive because it did penetrate quite well, but due to the over-the-top design, it takes quite a bit of time before the blades really fully open up. And so if you look at my score there of the total tissue cut, that references that, okay? Because it doesn't start with the total cut and go the entire length of the penetration. It like opened up a little bit more slowly, so the total tissue cut takes that into consideration. But check out the score sheet and you can see how it performed and compare it to other heads that are similar and see which one you like the most.